Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Bish's RV at my hometown Coldwater, Michigan store. Oh boy, that's how it's gonna go today. All right, well whatever, buckle up! We got seatbelts today because I'm taking my first look at a Jayco Solstice. This thing is as flexible as it is easy driving. So let's take a look at the layout. First of all, it's got a big rear lounge in the back that can fold down into your sleeping space. So if there's just one of you, or like maybe you and a dog, it's an awesome little just run around. Maybe you're like, I don't want to tow anything. I don't want a trailer behind me. I don't like backing up, or I'm intimidated by a big motorhome. This is that mama bear that fits right in between that's going to be perfect for you. Now that lounge folds down into your bed, but that's really the secret in the sauce in this one. Again, perfect size for a single person. If you're a cozy honeymoon kind of couple, the belly to back sleeper kind of couple, then that little bed's gonna work great for you. But what's cool about this one, the way the benches are laid out, when you fold the bed down, it could also be basically like a twin bed with side-by-side bed situations right here. So maybe you're past the Netflix and chill phase, you're more in the Amazon Prime and commitment. That coach right here could work for you. We're on a Ford Transit chassis. It's a 350 HD chassis. It's all-wheel drive, dualies in the back on this one. Also, this thing has like a hydronic heating system. It's got some factory standard solar, dual AGM house batteries. They make a lithium version of this as well, called the Solstice Li for lithium, as it were. And there's a bunch of real fun things. It is fun to drive. It responds when you hit the pedal. It does a lot of cool things. We're going to talk more about that as we go. It's also got a couple little janky points, mostly due to the fact that because of its small size, it gets a little weird in some spots. I'm going to try to share the good with the bad with you to give you the most fair representation of this one as I can. And if you appreciate that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's hop inside. Now, I do want to begin by mentioning it's going to be a little bit of tight quarters in here today because I don't use one of those crazy fisheye wide-angle lenses. I like to try to represent everything as fairly and accurately as I can. So what that means is we're going to probably see things like this, a lot of slow scrolling today so I don't make you motion sick, so you can still see everything, because I want to give you the fairest, most transparent, direct view of this thing, so if you come see it in person, you really know what you're getting into. Now, both of these front cab chairs can spin around. I've done that only with the passenger chair. A little pro tip I found, if you want to spin those around, you actually need to open that side door to make enough room to spin it, but it's not like that's really the end of the world. You do it when you get to your destination, and then you're kind of done. You flip it back around when you're hitting the road. I want to kind of start up front and work our way around. Down here, you see that little silver bracket. This comes with one of those handy lagoon tables that can kind of, you can raise it up, you can spin it around, you can do the hokey pokey and turn it all about, essentially. We're going to see that demonstrated when we get back into the dining lounge area, because it can actually mount in the front or the back. Now, again, that Ford Transit chassis with that huge infotainment center. If you're, you got your Android Auto, your Apple Maps or whatever plugged into that thing with that little USB plug below it, it can give you just an easy view of your navigation so you can keep your eyes on the road, which is where they belong. And one of the biggest ironies about these things is leg room. It seems like the smaller the coach, the greater the leg room that they have. Like your Sprinter, your Transit, your ProMaster chassis, the smallest motorhome chassis seem to give you the most legroom, in the cab area. It's totally, well, as my Uncle Gary would say, it's bass backwards, or as my, college-educated friends might say, it's counterintuitive, Joshua. There's something about your education level, and if you add the UA onto my name, I don't know. Now, you might notice some handy little power outlets right there. That's because if you want to flip around the driver's seat, you can also kind of dual purpose this, essentially as like a little table, little work desk. Maybe you got like a little Surface Pro or iPad Pro or small laptop or something like that. If you're a little laptop warrior, you could probably make that work. All right, so squeezing and weaving my way in here. If I'm sitting at the passenger seat that's spun around, this is, well, I mean, I am doing that. This is what you see when you do that. There is, by the way, a snap-on blackout shade for that window. You can see how I've got it kind of half draped down right there. And your kitchen counter space in this is a little bit limited. So remember, you do have that flip-up extension when you need it. We're going to come back and get a better look at the kitchen in a minute. One of the things I want to point out here, though, is there's a shine and a sheen and a luster to everything in here. Everything in this just looks fantastic. And you saw my little floor plan in a flash at, I'm a little bit over 6 foot and wearing my big old winter boots right now. I was able to walk right under that air conditioner and not hit my head, which is fantastic. Now, something that's less obvious is this also has a soft touch ceiling liner. You can see how my thumb depresses into that. That knocks down a ton of road noise, and it just helps keep everything a little quieter at your destination. Now up here, I love this thing, this Dragonfly Command Center. It's a really good, awesome, smart system. Now, obviously, you can hook up to it with your phone and all that good stuff. But a couple of the cool things, you can control your factory 1,000-watt inverter for it right here. You can see what your solar is doing right here. It also has an amazing auto gen start system where like you can program in your local park's quiet time hours. You can tell it, hey, if my battery voltage drops below X, Y, or Z, I want you to start kicking on, and I want you to try this many times, and I want you to, like, you can do a lot with it. Now, this little clock right here, that is also our hydronic heating system. So it doesn't have like a traditional, like, you know, propane furnace. It actually, this coach doesn't really use a lot of propane systems. You can see that it has a electric induction cooktop over here, and that is an convection microwave. Oh, I almost said induction, but no, that wouldn't be the correct thing. Now, would it? Now, back here in the, I don't know, the business end of the coach, you've got your big open rear lounge, you know. Now, what looks like seating over here on the right with that kind of cabinet that drops down, that's not exactly going to be useful for seating. The reason that bench is still there is, again, for the sleeper function, as I mentioned, when you flip this into sort of like a twin bed mode. You might notice, too, that forward-facing rear bench also has a set of seat belts on it, which is fantastic. One thing I haven't seen in this, car seat anchors, so maybe kind of keep that in mind. Now, speaking of stuff on car seats, you see those headrests? That is a power up-down bed system, and to drop that bed down, you actually do need to take those headrests off, which you can see I kind of stored up in these Euro-style overhead cabinets, which thankfully, you know, they do keep themselves flipped open, which is pretty cool. And again, you have the, you know, the full bed mode, you have the twin bed mode, you have the mega bed mode. You can flip this thing around and do all kinds of different stuff to it. Obviously, there's a good look at that little lagoon table that I mentioned previously right there. Again, you can use that up in the front cab area. You can use it back here in the lounge. It does come with only one. It simply has two different mounting positions, so kind of keep that in mind. Now, looking over in the kitchen space there, opening everything up a little bit, again, you can see that convection microwave. Nice little spot for a little wastebasket under the sink, too. That's a hard find in a Class B van. A lot of B vans do not have those things, which, again, that's something I always look for. One of the things you might notice, though, the reason I keep showing you up inside those cabinets is with the curvature of those Euro cabinets at the top of the cab, it's not extremely deep at the top. So you're going to be able to put a cereal box in it, like, sideways facing you, but not like sideways facing the side. I don't know. You know what I mean, right? Yeah, okay. I'm obviously doing a very bad job of describing that. Like, you'll be able to put a cereal box in this way in that cabinet, but not this way is what maybe that's a better way of saying it right there. I don't know. I feel like when it came time to talking about the cereal box storage, I've spent far too much time and been far too ineffective. That, by the way, is a 12-volt DC compressor refrigerator right over here next to our bathroom. And jumping over here just to kind of help connect knee bone to leg bone so you have a you know, positional understanding of this thing. Like a lot of B vans, it is a wet bath. I do not see a lot of coaches this size with a separate toilet and shower dry bathroom. Generally speaking, there's just very, very rarely enough space to do that. You might notice, now you might see some of those creep in either a very highly specialized floor plan or in like a B+, which is a modified, slightly kind of bulked up sort of thing. Not exactly what we're looking at here today. This wet bath, though, I wasn't disappointed with the leg room, but again, a small coach, everything kind of packed in tightly. Elbow room, hip and shoulder room. When you're in a small coach like this, you're kind of making certain accommodations, and maybe you're smaller than me. Maybe that stuff doesn't bother you. And it's not really a stand-up shower. It's more of a sit down and wand yourself kind of shower and stand up and rinse your backside off, I suppose. Now, one thing I did notice is when you're going down the road, you can lock the bathroom right here. Or I think you could actually lock somebody inside the bathroom, which is only funny for the person who's on the outside of the bathroom. Or at least that's what my wife said when I locked her in.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Little weak.
Now you may notice that little kind of hang tag hanging down off the rear view mirror right there. That's basically telling you that when you purchase one of these, you get an automatic, I think it's like a 1-year membership to like 4 different like apps or clubs or whatever. And some of those, one of those actually has like an RV navigation function on it, where what's kind of cool, you can plug in like your height, your length, your dimensions and specs on this, and it will help route and guide you like away from low clearances and things like that. Very, very handy. That's something that, you know, they include with every one of these. Actually, a lot of your Jaycos, a lot of your Thor products have that as part of it. So let's take another look at the weights and the measures and the specs here. Once again, we are running on a Ford Transit chassis. It's a 350 HD. That is an all-wheel drive chassis. Again, you've got the dualies in the back right there. It's a 3.5 liter V6 EcoBoost. And I want to talk about that real quick because you know, I've gone through several of these little Class Bs now. And I've seen some that have like that turbo diesel V6, and certainly it gets the job done. But one of the things I've always kind of noticed on those turbo V6 guys is when you hit the accelerator, there's a little delay before the turbo actually kicks in. And like if you're trying to jet through traffic or you're trying to get merged onto a highway, that can be a little spooky, a little hairy at times. This 3.5 liter EcoBoost, when you hit the accelerator, it does what you tell it to do, and it does it now. That is one of the things that I noticed on this immediately. It is more responsive. When you tell it to go, it says you got it. You know, that was something I really liked on here. Now, like with almost anything motorized and quite a few towables nowadays, we do have, of course, a rear view backup camera, which is kind of cool. You know, especially when you're going down the road and you need to see, you know, what's exactly behind you right there at that giant infotainment system. You can see that panel all the way from back here. Now, obviously, you might have noticed you've got that roll-down tent wall on the back. So depending on where you park yourself for the night, if it's kind of pleasant weather, you know, that kind of 60-degree sort of weather where you like to leave the window open is the best sleeping weather. You can kind of do that here, which I think is cool, and for the most part, keep the bugs out of the way. Although, you might notice it doesn't exactly seal on the bottom, so like if you're in insane backcountry Texas mosquito swamp country or something like that, you know, you might not want to do that. You might just want to keep the doors closed. It is a little bit interesting the way the water docking kind of boils down on this one. That does seem to be the case on quite a few B vans, though. On the back here, obviously, you've got your Ford towing package, and one of the things that we can't really see super obviously is the factory 200-watt solar package up on the roof. It also has an integrated charge controller, so not only is that working to keep the dual AGM batteries topped off from the factory, but it also will send a trickle charge up to the chassis battery so that if you haven't turned the key in a while, you're not going to get and dead battery when you go to turn the key. Very, very cool kind of thing right here. Now, not only that, but they do also have a side mount solar prep plug right there over on the right-hand side. So if you want to kind of park this thing, you know, in the shade, you can throw out kind of like a tether, almost like a buoy style solar panel, and use it to kind of hang out and chase the sun, as it were. Now for ride and handling, I was very impressed. This thing does have Hellwig helper springs on it to help sort of soak up that shock and jolt a little bit going down the road. But there's 2 other systems in play here to give you smoother ride and handling, so you're not upper body exhausted when you get to your destination. It has basically both a side wind control system as well as a body roll control system. So, you know when you're going around those really sharp curly Q kind of highway exits, this will basically actively fight that body roll so that it just stays on the road and it just tracks like it's on rails. There's some very, very cool things here. Oh, big thing I haven't talked about, generator. By the way, you can see those Hellwig helper springs kind of peeking over that tire back there. Again, it'll help just kind of keep everything rattling your teeth loose, essentially, as you're going down the road. Now, what I was getting at here when I jumped over here was the generator. This comes factory standard with a 2800 watt generator. Couldn't decide if I wanted to say 2.8 kilowatt or 2800 watt, and I almost said 2800 kilowatt, which is like one step away from 1.21 gigawatts, Marty, in case you want to go back in time. Neither here nor there. But the point is, sorry, basically no matter where you park yourself, you've got power, and they do make a lithium version of this if you want like more extended, totally away from the park kind of function. Additionally, this does have, it's interesting, it has a heated gray water tank. The black water tank does not have a tank heater on it, but the gray water specifically does. I'm trying to wrap my head around why you would do one and not the other. And I'm kind of coming up blank, but I'm also just coming back from a little week-long trip with my family, and I don't know about you. Have you ever been gone from your job for a week or even a couple days, and you come back, you're like, I don't know how to do my job. So, like, I'm still fighting through the fog a little bit here because I got in at like 2 a.m. last night and came straight to work. Probably should have taken the day off, but instead I'm here recording some stuff for you. Hope you appreciate the dedication. My point is, if you're smarter than me, which doesn't take much, and you can think why you'd heat one tank and not the other, leave me a comment and let me know, or even just go, I don't know, why would they do that? So thank you for joining me again. My first time walking through one of these, and there's certainly no way I can cover every single nut, bolt, widget, and whiz bang in these. Like for instance, like I said, they make a lithium version of this, which has some additional equipment that I didn't really mention in this video. If you have questions on that, feel free to leave me some comments. Let me know what you think about this little one. And like I said, this kind of coach, I don't think seeing it on video does it justice. You have to drive one of these. Driving is believing with these little Class B vans, because like you see them in picture, you see them on video, like, huh, and then you drive them, like, I get it. It's just smoother, simpler, easier. Like, it took me a little while to wrap my head around that fact, but once I started test driving some of these, it opened up like a Jasmine and Aladdin whole new world for me on one of these. But I will refrain from singing today, but saying that, ooh, it makes me want to. When you're ready, we're ready. I'll leave you a link in the video description. You can see where we have one of these in stock and what we're asking at any of our Bish's RV stores. And short of that, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.